From the earliest days of recorded history, the sea has served as an avenue for trade and cultural exchange. It is perhaps no surprise, then, that even amid the darkest days of World War II, men and women around the globe continued to brave the waves. But what was life like for merchant seamen, sailors, and others who navigated the turbulent waters of World War II? What perils did they face, and what legacies did they leave behind? And most importantly, how did global maritime shipping change after World War II? Stay tuned as we answer these questions and more in today's episode. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest episodes. The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor thrust the United States into World War II. While the assault on the American naval base in Hawaii caught many by surprise, it was part of a larger Japanese plan to dominate the Pacific. The sneak attack on Pearl Harbor also marked a turning point in the nature of maritime warfare. Previously, attacks on merchant ships had been relatively rare. However, with the entry of the United States into the war, the rules changed dramatically. As the United States prepared to defend its interests in the Pacific, the U.S. Shipping Board was established to oversee the construction of new vessels. This move aimed to bolster the American merchant marine, recognizing its crucial role in transporting troops and resources. Meanwhile, the British had already faced significant challenges to their shipping industry. The Battle of the Atlantic, an ongoing struggle between the British and German navies, had taken a heavy toll on maritime trade. German U-boats, or submarines, posed a constant threat, sinking countless merchant ships and disrupting vital supply lines. To combat this menace, the British implemented convoy systems, grouping merchant ships together for mutual protection. Despite these precautions, the risks remained high and the loss of merchant ships continued. With the worsening situation, the Allies recognized the need for a joint approach. In September 1940, the British and American governments signed the Lend-Lease Act, marking a significant step towards a strategic alliance. This agreement allowed the United States to provide essential supplies and materials to Britain, effectively transforming the United States into a supplier rather than a neutral party. Consequently, American ships were now tasked with delivering vital aid to Britain, facing the same perils that had plagued their British counterparts. One particularly perilous journey involved transporting badly needed food supplies to the British. The operation was fraught with danger as German submarines lurked in wait. Among the convoys was the SS Lord Down, a ship carrying General John C. H. Lee, the commander of the U.S. First Army. Amid the chaos of a German air raid, Lee found himself trapped in a companionway with few options for escape. Suddenly, a nearby explosion sent shrapnel flying, shattering Lee's leg. Despite the severity of his injury, Lee refused to evacuate, choosing instead to remain with his ship. After enduring several attacks, the convoy finally reached Ireland, having successfully delivered its precious cargo to Allied forces. The global impact of maritime warfare. The Battle of the Atlantic intensified as the war progressed. U-boat attacks reached unprecedented levels, causing widespread disruption to global shipping patterns. In 1943 alone, German submarines sank nearly 1 million gross register tons of merchant shipping, a staggering figure that highlights the extent of the devastation wrought by maritime warfare. The threat of U-boat attacks forced many countries to re-evaluate their shipping strategies. Convoys became the norm, offering some measure of protection against the lurking submarines. Iceland, strategically located near vital shipping routes, emerged as a crucial stop for refueling and rearming convoys. Coastal towns like Hvalfjordur and Seyðisfjörður became bustling hubs of activity as merchant ships and military vessels sought refuge and resupply before venturing back into the perilous seas. As the war intensified, the dangers at sea grew ever more present in people's daily lives. Back home, families anxiously awaited the return of their loved ones from voyages fraught with peril. The stress of war permeated every aspect of life, leaving individuals questioning whether their next meal would arrive safely. Food rationing became a way of life, impacting not only daily sustenance but also the availability of goods for export. The shortage of essential commodities like sugar and gasoline reverberated across the globe, affecting not just the home front but also international trade. In the vast expanse of the North Atlantic, the fate of merchant ships hung in the balance. Captains like Edward R. S. Steers, Jr., found themselves navigating treacherous waters, constantly on the lookout for signs of enemy vessels. Steering, a graduate of the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, had chosen a career at sea despite the allure of a promising land-based job. But his decision was put to the test when he encountered a German submarine just 20 miles off the coast of Ireland. With quick thinking and a bit of luck, Sterling managed to avoid detection, maneuvering his ship away from danger. However, the threat of U-boat attacks loomed large, underscoring the risks that accompanied life at sea during wartime. The Gulf and Stream convoy system. As the war in the Atlantic escalated, the need for organized shipping routes became increasingly apparent. Enter the Gulf and Stream convoy system, a vital lifeline for merchant ships traversing the perilous waters between the United States and Europe. Established in 1943, this system provided a structured approach to maritime transport, aiming to minimize the risks associated with U-boat attacks. Merchant ships carrying essential supplies and resources from the United States to Great Britain were grouped together in convoys for their transatlantic voyage. This strategic measure aimed to enhance safety by allowing merchant ships to travel collectively under the safeguard of the U.S. Navy. The naval escort provided protection against German U-boats, mitigating the risk of individual vessels being targeted. The Gulf and Stream convoy system played a pivotal role in maintaining vital supply lines between the United States and Britain, facilitating the delivery of crucial resources during a critical juncture in the war. Meanwhile, across the globe in the Eastern Mediterranean, the Soviet Union grappled with its own set of maritime challenges. The Germans, aiming to disrupt Soviet shipping capabilities, launched a relentless campaign against the Black Sea coastal city of Tuapse. This strategic offensive aimed to sever vital supply routes and undermine the Soviets' capacity to transport troops and resources. Amidst the turmoil, a group of children found themselves evacuated from the besieged city. Their journey to the relative safety of Uzbekistan was fraught with uncertainty and danger as they braved the perilous conditions and the constant threat of attack. As the war raged on, the seas became a battleground for ideologies. The conflict extended beyond the exchange of goods and services, encompassing a broader struggle for dominance and control. The transportation of goods, once a symbol of global interconnectedness, now carried the weight of national interests and the pursuit of victory. The role of merchant ships and crews evolved, becoming integral to the war effort and the ultimate outcome of the conflict. As the war drew to a close, a sense of relief and anticipation swept across the nation. Victory was within reach, and with it, the hope for a return to normalcy. For those who had served on merchant ships, the end of hostilities brought not only elation, but also a multitude of challenges. Demobilization brought significant changes for merchant seamen and the shipping industry as a whole. As the war effort wound down, the demand for merchant ships gradually decreased. Many of the vessels that had been pressed into service for military purposes were decommissioned, marking the end of their tumultuous wartime service. For the crews, this meant facing a transition back to civilian life. Demobilized merchant seamen found themselves returning home after years at sea, bringing with them stories of courage and resilience that had shaped their experiences during the conflict. The legacy of a transformed industry. As the dust settled on World War II, the shipping industry stood at a pivotal moment in history. The war had left an indelible mark, altering the course of global trade and reshaping the very foundations of maritime commerce. The conflict had exposed the vulnerabilities of uncoordinated shipping efforts, leading to the establishment of the Federal Maritime Commission in the United States. This commission aimed to regulate and stabilize the shipping industry, ensuring a more resilient and efficient system. Moreover, the war had underscored the strategic importance of a strong merchant marine. Recognizing this, the United States began investing heavily in its maritime infrastructure, constructing new ships and improving port facilities. This investment aimed to bolster the nation's economic strength and its ability to participate effectively in international trade. Furthermore, the wartime experiences had spurred innovation and technological advancements in the shipping industry. The development of new ship designs, improved navigational tools, and more efficient loading systems emerged as a direct response to the challenges faced during the conflict. These innovations aimed to enhance safety, reduce transportation costs, and streamline the shipping process. Moreover, the legacy of World War II extended to the treatment of merchant seamen themselves. The contributions and sacrifices of those who had served on merchant ships during the war were finally being recognized. Efforts were made to improve working conditions, provide adequate compensation, and honor the service of merchant mariners. In conclusion, the end of World War II brought about a new era for the shipping industry. The lessons learned, the innovations developed, and the recognition gained during the conflict paved the way for a transformed maritime landscape. The stage was set for a post-war world where global trade would flourish once again, driven by the efficiencies and advancements born out of the crucible of war. We hope you enjoyed learning more about what life was like for those who navigated the turbulent waters of World War II. If you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to share them below. Your engagement helps us understand who has yet to be taken by the body snatchers. Thank you for watching, and be sure to join us next time for another journey through history.